Hi viewers, let's run transportation problems, transportation problems, problems. You see, transportation problems, in the transportation problem, we try to find out the minimum cost. Try to find out the minimum cost. Now, you see, there is a scenario in which there are three warehouses: warehouse 1, warehouse 2, warehouse 3. Okay, and these warehouses are providing stocks to these three customers. So you see, these warehouses of the factory or the manufacturer are providing stocks to these customers. Now, when we say that this warehouse is providing stock to this customer 1, so it is incurring the cost 6. Okay, it is incurring the cost 6. And when the warehouse 1 is providing stock to the customer 2, it is incurring the cost 7. And the warehouse 1 is providing the customer 3, it is incurring the cost 4. Okay, and in total warehouse 1 may supply, in total the warehouse may supply 100 stocks, 100 units. So 100 units is the supply, which would be provided by the warehouse 1 to these three customers. And these will be the cost incurred. Let's talk about the warehouse 2. The warehouse 2 will be incurring the cost 5 in providing stock to the customer 1, and warehouse 2 is incurring the cost of 3 in providing the stocks to the customer 2. Warehouse 2 is incurring the cost of 6. So in total, the warehouse 2 is supplying 180 units. Let's talk about the warehouse 3. The warehouse 3 is providing the customer 1, incurring the cost 8. The warehouse 3 is providing the customer 2, incurring the cost 5. The warehouse 3 is providing the customer 3, incurring the cost 7. Warehouse 3 is providing the total stock of 200 units. 200 units. So you see, if we see the total demand of customer 1 is 135 units. Total demand of customer 1 is 135 units. Total demand of customer 2 is 175 units. Total demand of customer 3 is 170 units. So these were the demand. Okay. So you see, this has become a transportation problem in which there is a condition of supply availability and the demand of customers. Now we need to see whether the total of the supply and demand are same or not, because it should be like 480, 100, 180 plus 180 plus 200 is 480. If you add them, 135 plus 175 plus 170, 140, 150, 150 and 130 is 480. $150 and $250, Sorry, let me do that. 55, 145. So if we add up the 240, 245 and 135, so we get it 8 and so you see the total is 480. The total is 480. So now you can develop a matrix accordingly, like this, just to make ourselves remember. This is the matrix which is telling about supply and demand. Okay. So these three are telling you that these three are the cost and these are the total supply. So now what we have to do, what is our objective? Our objective is to minimize the cost. Our objective is to minimize the cost. This is our objective. Our objective is to minimize the cost. So how can we minimize the cost? So you see the different costs are there to supply the 100 units of warehouse 1, warehouse 2. We have the total 180 units to supply from warehouse 2, and different costs are incurring. So now we need to decide that what is the quantity to be sent through. And remember, this is the per unit. This is the per unit cost. This is the per unit cost. So it is the per unit cost of sending supplies to the customer 1. It is the per unit cost of supplying to customer 2. It is per unit cost of supplying to customer 3. Okay. So total, the warehouse 1 may supply the 100 units with the per unit cost of 6 to customer 1, with the per unit cost of 7 to customer 2, with the per unit cost of 4 to customer 3. Likewise. So what we have to do, we have to find out what we have to do. We have to find out the number of units to every cell through which we can minimize the cost. Okay, for example, over here the 100 supplies has to be distributed. For example, 50 over here, 50 over here. So you see 50 and 50 are distributed equally just to reduce the cost. Okay. Over here you see the 180 units has to be supplied from warehouse 2. So 180 units may be distributed equally. Just giving you an example. Okay, 60, 60, 60. Okay, so likewise 200 units. If we have the 200 units, so we can see over here 100 units will be supplying from warehouse 3 to customer 2. Okay, and the rest of 50 and 50 units will be supplying to customer 1 from warehouse 3 and customer 3. Now what we have to do, we have different options to go about it to minimize our cost. First option is the northwest corner method. Second option is the least cost method. And third is the Vogel approximation method. So let's begin with the Vogel approximation method. So you see, in the Vogel approximation method, what we have to do, we have to find the penalties. We have to find the penalties. Okay. In the total per unit cost of customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, and warehouse 1, warehouse 2, warehouse 3. For example, how would we find the penalties in the Vogel approximation method? In the Vogel approximation method, how will we find? You see, we'll be finding. Remember, the Vogel approximation method gives you the most or you may say the best initial feasible solution. The Vogel approximation method give you the most basic feasible solution, comparatively the northwest and the least cost. So that is why we are focusing on the Vogel approximation method. Now let's find out the penalties. This is the first step of the Vogel approximation method. So penalties are what? Among the cost of these, the warehouse 1 cost are, what is the minimum cost? 4. And the second one is 6. 6 minus 4 is 2. We are just bracketing it just to make ourselves remember 2. In the warehouse 2, which is the most least cost, we have 3, then 5. 5 minus 3, 2. In this row, warehouse 3, the most least cost is 5, then 7. It's 2. Okay. Now, we will see over here. Now we will see over here. Sorry, I did a mistake over here. The least cost is 3, and the next one is 5. No, I was correct over here. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's check it again. The least is 4. The next is 6. 6 minus 4, 2. The least is 3. Next is 5. 5 minus 3, 2. The least is 5. The next is 7. 7 minus 5, 2. Now we will see the column in the customer 1. What are the different costs we have, and we will find the least one. So the least is 5. The next is 6. 1. The least is 3. Next is 5. 2. The least is 4. The next is 6. 2. So now see, we have got the multiple penalties of 2. Now we have to decide that which one we have to go about it for the next step. We will see the most demand or supply quantity. So you see over here 200 to 180 to 200 to 170 to 175. Now 200 is the quantity where we must go about it. Start our operation. Operation would be to find the least cost over here. Least cost is 5. Okay. So now in the 5, what is the least supply and demand? So least is the demand 175. So 175 would be here. Okay, and it will be cut to 0 since 175 has gone to inside, and it will be 25 will be here remaining. So you see 25 is remaining, 175 is already inside the cell. So up till now, what we have learned, that we have allocated the 175 supplies to the warehouse 3. That 175 supplies will be done by the warehouse 3 to customer 2. That will incurring per unit cost of 5. So if we want to take out the total cost, 175 into 5 will be the total cost of this. So this is, up till now, we have allocated the 175 units out of 480. So how much are we remaining? We are remaining almost the 300 something number. Now, the most important point is always keep checking the balance between demand and supply. You see 135, 0, 170, 175, 170 and 135. When we add 170, 135, we get 205. We get 205. And when we add 100, we get 305. When we add 135 plus 170, we get the 305. And when we add over here 100 plus 180, it's 280, and 25, it is 305. So 305 and 305 are both equal. So this is very important we need to understand. I may write it for you. Supply has become 305. Okay. Now, let me rub for you so that we can move ahead. Oh, remember one thing, that whenever any column or row is 0, whatever is 0, you have to cut the rest. So we will not be doing any operation on this whole column, since it is allocated, and this will not be considered anymore. Okay, so you presume that all of the stock, this is all of the stock being given to the customer 2. So from the warehouse 3, we will not be giving any other stock to customer 2. So this has to go this way whenever there is 0 over here. So it means the total demand is fulfilled by the warehouse 3. Okay, now we cannot allocate any other units to warehouse 1 and warehouse 2. Okay, let's move ahead. Let me develop. Let's not rub the whole one. Let's do this. Okay. $25 is here. Okay. And 305 is here. We may write 305 over here. just in case remaining are same. So over here you see we have to now first is allocated, but we have to find out the more. So for that, what we will do, let me tell you. Let me tell you. We need to take out the penalties again. 6-4 in the raw, 6-4, which one is the bigger one? So you see which one is the bigger one. So we have found that the 6 is the bigger one and the 4 is the smaller one. So we just minus 6 minus 4, 2, it's 2 over here. First penalty, 6 minus 1, 1. Since we have only two numbers, so we just have to minus the big from the small one, 1. Okay, now what we have to see which one is the biggest one. So 2 is the biggest one, and in that the which one is the biggest supply or demand. So you see 170 as the highest demand. So we will do the operation over here, and in that you see we need to see which one is the lowest one. This one 4 is the lowest one, and which one is the least one, 100 or 170. So 100. So 100 has gone inside. Okay, since 100 has gone inside, so it has become 0. Okay, and it has become 70. 70 is remaining over here, and the remaining will be cut. Why not this? Because it is not 0. Why this? Because it is 0. So we will cut this and this. There will be, since it is allocated, so I am not cutting it. So next we have allocated the 400. Next we have allocated the 100 units to warehouse 1, which is incurring a per unit cost of 4. So warehouse 1 will be supplying to customer 3. Warehouse 1 will be supplying to customer 3 100 units at the cost of 4. Okay, let's go ahead. Remember, we have not found the penalties of this one. Why? Because there was no change in the column. That's why I did not found the penalties again. So there was a change in the row only. So that is why I took out again of the row. Okay, let's rub this. So this now you see the what we can rub again. We have to take out this penalty again, and we have to check the balance of supply and demand. So you see 180 plus 25 is 205. 135 plus 70, 205. So it is again same. So always do this. Why? Just to get to know that your answer is correct or not. Your up till these steps are correct or not. Now we are not going to take out the penalties again of the raw, but for the column we need to. Why? Because there is a change in the column. So which one is the lowest one? 5, and the next one is 8. So 8 minus 5, 3. Which one is the least one? 7. Next is 6, 1. So you see under the penalties 3, 1, 1, 1. Which one is the highest? 3. 3 is the highest. So we will be doing the operation over here. So over here you see which one is the lowest cost? 5 is the per unit cost, which is lowest. So in the demand and supply, which one is the least? So you see supply is the least. Demand is the least. 135 would be here. 135 would be here. So we have allocated another cell, that is the let me write them just to get myself remember. Yes. Now you have to keep writing this because we are keep rubbing all of them. You see, we are rubbing this since you see 135 inside and this is 0. And since it is 0, so we will cut this. So we are remaining with this. Over here you see. Now, over here you see we are remaining with this 6 and 7. So 6 and 7 are remaining because this column is cut. Okay? Now, we need to see whether the demand and supply are equal or not. Let me check first. $135 was over here, so we need to minus 135 from 180. So the remaining was 40 and 45. 45 and 25 is 70. So 70 is the balance. That is correct one. Okay, so always check the balance. Now, we have already checked the balance and we have the two cells are remaining. So in that over here you see what we have to do. We have to find out we have to do the operation again. So since there is only a single column, so we do not need to do the penalty work. We can choose the single one over here, or you can do the same. Since there is no 2 rows, so there will not be a penalty. There are two. However, there are two. There is a one column, okay, and there are 2 rows. Okay, so there is no as such. There is no need to take out the penalty. So how we will go about it? We'll go about it. 6, 7 difference is, let's take it out. 1, there is no difference as such, you see. So among two, which one is the least one? So this is the least one. So let's do the operation. Which one is the least one? 45. So 45 will be allocated over here. 45 will be allocated over here. Since 45 is allocated, it will be 0 and it will be 25. So you see 25 is remaining. So 25 has to be allocated over here. 25 units has to be allocated over here. So you see we are done with this question. Let me write them for you, whatever we have found out before. Let me write all the allocated cells. So you see we have allocated the quantities, different quantities to these cells. Let me make for you. Okay. So you see over here, we need to do the demand and supply again. 100 is the total supply which will be done from the warehouse 1, and second you see from the warehouse 2, 135 plus 45, that is 180 supply will be done from here. And you see over here the 200 supply will be done from here. So 200 plus 380 plus 100, 480. So 480 is the total supply. Let's take out that demand. 135, 175, 25, 45, that is 70, 170. So you see 170, 170, 240 and 245 and 245 plus 135. You see it is 175 and 175 is 340. Is 175 plus 175 is it's 175 plus 170 is 345. So 345 plus 135 is 480. Okay. 345 plus 135 is 480. For it. So you see demand supply are same. Now we need to see that M plus N minus 1 equals to allocated cells. This is the initial basic feasible solution. If we have found out the allocated cells in this quantity, like M is the number of rows, that is 3, N is the number of column, that is 3, and minus 1. So you see 3 plus 3 minus 1, 5. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So 5 are the allocated cells you see. But we need to see that 5 are allocated. This is the Vogel approximation initial basic feasible solution. Now from this what we have found that if M plus N minus 1 equals to 5 and the allocated cells are 5, then only we can go for the optimization of the Vogel approximation method, initial basic feasible solution. So this is the Vogel approximation initial basic feasible solution. So this is the initial basic feasible solution of Vogel approximation method. Now we will have to apply on this the stepping stone method. Thank you very much.